What is so exhilarating about having a connection with the soul of existence is that whenever you feel like you really can't do much in a situation, you really don't feel like you can make something happen, and you just ask the soul of existence for assistance with this, because you understand that the vessel that you have is just as divine as the divinity itself, then you realize that you are one with the source. And so you can just ask the source for help with this thing. And you can just decide. You can just decide that this is going to be the way that it is. And once you truly decide that, the soul of existence will help you out with it. And this is something that happens on Celibacy more frequently than any other time that I've ever seen in my life. And it could be for a different factor or two, of considering the fact that I have been on Celibacy for years now, and I've been on semen retention for years. And one thing that I continually see is that the soul of existence always provides for you. Always provides, always offers what you need. And every single little mistake, quote unquote, that you do and that you make is really just foundation and soil in which you can actually plant better seeds. Because sometimes you might be trying to plant a seed, rather. You might be trying to plant a seed in the desert. And, your fruit tree is not going to grow in the desert there, buddy. But on Celibacy, it's like there's this new fertilizer and there's this new soil that takes place internally in which the kingdom of heaven can blossom through you. And so then you're going to be just like the fruit, right? A lot of people will say one thing about the fruit of the tree, and then they'll say another thing about the tree itself. But they don't recognize that the tree and the fruit are one and the same. However, the thing is that a lot of people will try to, force their way into being a certain type of tree. It's like Master Oogway in Kung Fu Panda, when Master Shifu is complaining about having to train the panda because he's a peach tree, right? And Master Shifu is like, oh, but I can control when the fruit will fall from the tree, and I can plant the seed, and that is not an illusion, Master. And Master Oogway says, ah, yes, but no matter what you do, that seed that you plant will grow up to be a peach tree, and you may wish for an apple or an orange, but it'll be a peach. And Shifu says, but a peach can't defeat Tai Lung. And Master Oogway the turtle says, well, maybe it can if you're willing to guide it and nurture it and believe in it. The thing is that that's exactly the process that it takes for you to actually maneuver through this life, to maneuver through the construct that we live in, because this is a electromagnetic field that is dancing with itself. And so when you actually attune yourself to a certain mode of decision making, you're actually going to start to change your timeline and the frequency that you're on within that timeline. So you are literally creating a sculptured timeline. You are basically Michelangelo in the flesh, but also in spirit, right? You see what I'm saying here. And so everything will miraculously work out for you, and you don't really know how, and you don't really know why, but you just know that there's something more here. There's something better to be involved with. And I've always found that I always get what the soul of existence wants me to have. And sometimes the things that we want are ending up to be things that we don't really want. And then other times the things that we don't want are actually the things that we really need. And so we have to be more discerning. And this is something else that Celibacy will help you with. You'll increase your discernment. And what exactly does that mean, and how does it look like? Well, it means that discernment is essentially pattern recognition. And when you notice what I call the pattern convergence signals emanating themselves through time, in timelessness, then you're going to see that, okay, there's certain things that are here and there, and that are maneuvering in this way and that way. And now it's about capitalizing on those things. It's about capitalizing on the pattern convergence that you're seeing, for better or for worse. You're recognizing, okay, well, it's this pattern that's going this way, and there's this pattern that's going that way. What's the convergence here? And if I'm the convergence, if I'm the divine vessel for the divine source, well, then how do I act in a way, like something I thought about recently was, how can I have God trust me more? Like, because I think that you can perform miracles if God trusts you. However, the thing is that that's kind of a silly question, right? That's kind of a silly question. Why would you ask, how can God trust you? God already trusts you. Like, hello? Like, God already trusts you. The soul of existence already trusts you. What you need to focus on is, how can you better trust yourself, and how can you better tell the truth and love everyone, more so to the point in which you can live the truth and let die what is false. That's where you need to be. And it's almost like being in a trance continuously. Like the shamans have talked about this, right? Where the technique of ecstasy, and it's like a trance, and they're always in a trance. I think that you recognize, and you'll see this on Celibacy as well, because when your nervous system starts to calm down, because you have two different types of nervous systems. You have the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for the calmness and the digestive part, whereas the sympathetic nervous system is responsible for the fight or flight. Okay, so what do both of those things have in common? They're not storing information. They're not storing information at all. They're actually responding to the frequency and the electromagnetic field that they exist in. They're responding to the environment. But it takes a certain type of thought algorithm to have those different types of nervous systems activated. And celibacy will increase your probability to actualize that parasympathetic state where you're more calm, where you're more collected. Now, me, myself, I'm feeling very passionate in this spirit of this time. I'm feeling very aligned in the spirit of this time. I'm feeling very like I am moving forward, and I'm deciding that my life from here on out is only going to get better and better. It's going to get better all the time. Because why? Well, it's like what the Beatles said in their song Getting Better. It's getting better all the time. It can't get much worse. That's exactly how it is. When you recognize that it can't really get much worse, because worse doesn't exist. Worse is a concept. It is going to get better all the time. Naturally. It's going to get better naturally, because you see the proclivity that you have toward moving toward that which is, well, heavenliness. You know, I have another channel, the Regal Shaman channel, and we're going into more like deeper dives of deeper esoteric and spiritual understandings and such, and kind of the more like darker side, but also like the more light side as well, depending on how you look at it, right? It's all about perspective. And in that, I saw someone leave a comment that said, heaven is a direction and hell is a direction. And I thought that was a very insightful comment. I'm like, this is exactly why I like the internet. A lot of people hate on the internet. A lot of people hate on the haters of the internet. And a lot of haters are on the internet, for sure. And you're always going to have haters. Like, you're always going to have haters, especially on celibacy, man. People are not going to know what to do with your energy. They're just not, because they're not used to that. We live in such a depleted society that you see day to day that being revealing in your clothes, for example, being perverted in your thoughts is just it's just another thing. It's just another day in the matrix. You know, another day, another way the matrix lets you down, right? Like that's just the way that this is. That's just the way in which the matrix operates. And so it's really silly to look out at the world and think to yourself like, oh yeah, I think like things are things are really great, right? Like it looks silly to say something like that to yourself, but it's really not, because the more that you ignore the reality and focus on the truthful real rather than the real truth, as I call it, focus on the truthful real, the more you'll see that if you just follow coherently and consistently what the consistency of your own thoughts will propagate, there are no limits for you. You see, celibacy in many senses is about practicing being immortal. Like celibacy is a practice of immortality. Man, that's actually a really good, I never thought about it like that until just now, actually, because that's a very interesting, I kind of just astounded myself with that. So yeah, celibacy is a practice of immortality of the soul, because you're recognizing that nothing is going to last forever, and yet everything's going to last forever. This is the great paradox. I had someone come up to me, some guy at the gym earlier today. He came up to me and said, "Hey, I've got a question for you." And I said, "I've got an answer." And he was like, "Wait, but I haven't asked the question." And I said, "Okay, well, what's your question?" And he asked the question and he's like, "So do you have an answer?" And I said, "Well, the answer is there is no answer." and my like inner sage and guru kind of came out, that archetype anyway, just kind of came out, and he was just like, "What?" And I was like, look, you're asking a question that there is no answer to. That's the paradox of it. Maybe instead of the question in seeking an answer, maybe the question is the answer. And then pretty much left it at that. And he just kind of was like, he was just kind of scratching his head. Just like, okay, I guess, all right. And I just, I basically told him like, look, I'm not the person to talk to about this kind of stuff. Because I'm kind of testing his spirit, right? Like in the Bible, it talks a lot about testing the spirit, because we fight against principalities, not of flesh and blood. That's not just something that like people say. Religion, like, and that's not a religionist perspective, right? Like religionists definitely have that perception, but they don't embody it, right? That's actually just the way that consciousness works. Okay, that's a map in which the way the consciousness works. So we fight against principalities, not flesh and blood. Well, that means that all of your problems, like all of them, are almost like all here. Like they're all internal, man. They're all internal. And so sometimes, like for me, I'm just to the point now in which I don't really care. Like I just don't like I care a lot, actually. Like I mentioned in a video I did recently, it's like sometimes I'm scared about how sincere I can be and how much I can care. But in other ways, I am just so blessed to live the life that I do and to have the types of perceptions of life that I do, and to truly see that even right now, I had no clue. I have a topic, but I have no clue what I'm going to talk about in that topic, right? And so sometimes when I'm just channeling things, like I did just barely with the celibacy being a practice of immortality, I'm not thinking about these things. I'm just letting the source flow through me, and I'm being the vessel. I am the vessel. It's not me that's saying these things. It's the soul of existence speaking through me to you. This is what exactly what the Bible says as well, that God speaks to us through others. Again, that's not just like if you think God is like out here, it's not going to ever make sense to you. But if you think and know, not just think, because thinking is kind of gay, right? So if you just know that in here is God and the kingdom of heaven, well, then everybody that you meet is potentially showing you something about yourself or to yourself, or maybe you're just speaking to them in a certain way. Like, this has happened to me more on celibacy than any point in my life, where things are like going through, it seemingly is delay. But in reality, and in the truth of the reality, I had to say certain things to plant seeds to these people. The soul of existence was using me as a vessel to speak to these people. And I don't know what they did, right? But I can tell that what I said to them made an impact on their life. It's just like this example with the gym this morning about this older guy. This older guy that came up to me and asked me about, hey, I've got a question for you. For some reason, that's just what felt like aligned in that moment, to act as if I were just that person, to be the guru. And I'm not saying that I'm a guru, okay? Like, I don't identify with that. And I don't identify with being a millionaire or a billionaire or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that I do honest work and people recognize the value of it. I don't need to be a millionaire. I don't need to be a billionaire. I don't need to be a guru. I don't need to be a dating coach. I don't need to be a therapist. I don't need to be whatever these titles that you want me to be. I am a door provider. Basically, I show you the door and I help you navigate what's going on through it. I provide the structure. I'm like the architect. I provide the structure and then you go through it. And this is exactly what I've seen that's happened on my celibacy, is that I've been the architect for people in their lives and without even realizing it sometimes. And other times, absolutely. And there are some times where I give these people such a new perspective that it changes them for a long time. Like well, indefinitely, really. And I don't know exactly how, I just know that it does. Because telepathy, I was going to say telepathy. It's like tilapia. Telepathy is absolutely real. Now, is it true? Yes, it's also true. But you can perceive yourself to be experiencing a I don't know why I'm having a difficult time saying that word. You might be experiencing a phenomenon in which you feel as though you're having a telepathic experience with someone that's real, right? But that could be a delusion. But telepathy in of itself is true. All you have to do is recognize that it's not that non-individuated people cannot have these types of experiences with telepathy. It's just that when someone's actually individuated to some degree, it's easier to have telepathy and telepathic communication with these people. And telepathy is not exactly what you think it is. It's not like Professor Xavier, right? It's not like okay, all right. It's more of a pattern recognition, right? It's that pattern convergence. We get this in the Regal Academy all the time. All the time in the Regal Academy, there's all different types of synchronicities and pattern convergences all the time. With the people that I work closest with in my one-on-ones and the Godlike Mastery, all the time, synchronicities, pattern convergence signals, all the time. And it's just because we're all sharing a common life that is experiencing the similar type of frequency. That's all that it is. We're all channeled into a higher frequency, a higher domain. And it's not that we see ourselves as like above people. It's just that we are on a different dimension. Literally, that's just all that it is. We're operating from a different dimension. The enlightened being, and I'm not claiming to be enlightened here, but the enlightened being, because that's preposterous. The enlightened being, though, sees things from a dimension beyond. And any person that has had a pattern convergence with the mysteries of the unknown, and it's been a supernatural or numinous experience with the unknown, they've seen and they've sensed, without a shadow of a doubt, that there is a world beyond, right? There's a mystical beyond. And I talk a lot about that in my book, the Book of Oldishness, the mystical beyond. That is the place of timelessness. But we can experience timelessness in this realm, from our conscious perspective. And celibacy helps you with that. And that's why everything just seemingly miraculously works out for you on celibacy, because again, you're practicing immortality to some degree. So with all that being said, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. For the Godlike Mastery offer, now that it's going to be April, starting tomorrow at the time of filming this, 2026, I only have a few spots left for the Godlike Mastery per month, because that's a very intensive custom offer for these people and initiates. So I only have a few spots left for that. If you want to sign up for that, either DM me through Instagram or X, or fill out an application. I've put out a post about it on my YouTube posts and on X just yesterday, so you can go check those out, or you can look in the description box below for that. And then also the same thing for the one-on-ones. You can see an application for that, or you can just check out a way to DM me or message me on Instagram or X. And then also the Regal Academy. We have no longer are we doing the 7-day free trial. We're just, if people want to in, basically, yeah, it's going to be pay to play kind of a thing. I don't like having to do this, but the thing is that what I've recognized is that I want people that are going to be aligned with the people that are already in there. And in order to do that, we have to create that pay barrier. It's only going to be $7 to enter. It's only $7. But if you do want to be on the group calls, right now, the price for that is going to be $35 a month for the group calls, as well as other classes that are available as well. So $7 to enter the academy. You get access to a few different classes and such, and different types of content, exclusive content there. And then if you do want to join the group calls, yeah, that's where the premium plan is going to come into play. So with all that being said, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. I hope everybody stays blessed. Peace. Until next time.